Hello, 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 governors. Welcome to the 2025 Grand Prix Qualifier International Server Group A Round 3. I'm your host, Flawed Gaming Caster and content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. And today, casting alongside me is the best from the West, Mr. Redline. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Plato. I hope everybody in chat is doing well as well. I'm excited for this upcoming match.
Yeah, this match should be a doozy. For those that are tuning in for the first time, we're not able to tune in for the first two rounds. We are now in the final round of the Grand Prix qualifier group stage. There are 32 teams overall, 16 teams from the Chinese server, and 16 teams from the international server. Each of these teams were grouped with 3 other teams from their server through a random draw. With 4 groups of 4, each team will play the other teams in their group once, and whomever ends up with the best record in the group after the round robin will move on to the main Grand Prix tournament, meaning that every game is vital as only one team in each group can move on. The game that we're casting today has 2 of the teams that are fighting for that one main stage slot, 2377 from Kingdom 2377 versus 16OT from Kingdom 1316. 2377 has the lead in the group, being 2-0 as they have beaten both JST and EE in the first 2 rounds. They have been dominant thus far in the Grand Prix, showing that they're one of the best top teams in the international server, despite their last season Osiris League troubles. Now, with one more step towards the main stage, 2377 are looking to keep their perfect record and go into the Grand Prix with all the momentum. But to do so, they'll have to go through 16OT. 16OT have proven within the last couple of Osiris Leagues that they're one of the best teams in the international server. They automatically qualified for this group stage by being in the top 4 of the Realm of Best Set last season, losing to the eventual champions 489 in the semifinals. With their loss to JST last week, they are looking to upset 2377 and steal the finals main stage slot from under their grasp. One team aiming to stay on the top, another team trying to steal the dreams of making it to the main stage. Will 2377 continue their momentum and dominate Group A with an unbeaten record, or will 16OT shock the world and steal 2377's glory by beating them to that final podium red line? What do you think of this matchup?
Oh man, just kind of giving a little more context. So last week we watched the 16OT and JST match, right? It was an amazing match. And for this match, this is a do or die for 16OT, right? Because I think multiple things have to happen in order for them to advance. So it's to beat 2377, but also do it by a large margin, right? Because if there's a tiebreaker, it goes to the person with the most overall points.
Exactly.
So right now, 16OT have to push hard, but also hope that GST doesn't win by as many points as well. So there's just a lot that going into this specific match. A lot of things have to happen in this bracket, but specifically for these 2 teams, this is going to be a bloodbath, man. I really think that both teams are striving to make it to the next round and are going to do anything in their power to make that happen. So looking forward to it.
We could actually take a look at the standings before the match here. For context, we are looking in Group A over here. 2377 have a 2-0 record. 16OT are 1-1 as they have lost to JST last week. So for 16OT to make it out, even for JST to make it out, 16OT needs to beat 2377 because to get out of this group, it starts off with the best record. If 2377 beats 16OT, they'll have the best record automatically. But if 16OT beat 2377 and JST beat EE, it'll be a 3-way tie at all the teams being 2-1. And the way that the tiebreaker is made up then, it'll be based off point differential. You could see that 2377 beat JST by about 8k. They also beat EE by about 35k. So even if 16OT beats 2377 right now, 2377 should be the favorites to make it out of the group.
It's a slim pickings here, Paul. It's slim, but it can happen. And I'm thinking like they gotta do that whole obelisk play and then just kind of wipe them out completely from the map. So I think for starters, there's gonna be something that's gonna happen. 16OT has to do something in order for it to happen. They have to control this map. They have to extend by a giant lead.
2377 may need to be 60 GT'd. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Because even if 16OT wins, they need to win by such a wide margin. They're down and they're actually yeah, they're almost. I think they are actually negative in terms of point differential due to their loss against JST last week.
Mm.
And if you're a JST fan, you're actually going to be watching this match here because this match is going to be, it's you need 16 OT to win this match for JST to make it through as well. So it's kind of funny that there's 3 teams that have their stakes in this match as we get into the game here.
Paul, just another thing to add to this too as well is that 2377 has almost 22k in net points, and 16 OT has 3200 in net points. So you gotta have a wide margin here, buddy, to make this happen. You gotta have a wide margin, and then GST's at 2400 net points.
Okay. Yeah, so JST fans are really hoping 16 OT, they pull something off here. They are a very solid team. They have shown that they're really strong. 16 OT, I believe this is actually also for those that are, 60 GT build. I believe this is where C Will also migrated to. So it's one of those top tier A seeds for sure.
C Will and several other GT players came through over there. So they're definitely building something solid in that kingdom. So it's good to see those players finding a good home.
We are also going to be, you can see all the counts being relatively the same power. This is the Grand Prix after all, so everyone has all the commanders unlocked, all the same gear, all the same armaments. So it'll come down to the strategy. But the thing that's interesting about that red line is, with everything being the same, we've seen some very, very one-sided mid fights, very one-sided fights. Why do you think some of these fights go one-sided when everyone has the same equipment, same resources available to each and every one of them?
The great thing about the Grand Prix, right, is like you mentioned, everyone has everything the same, and it all comes down to managing the type of equipment each person is using, the commander pairings that they're using, talent trees, and armaments, right? So it's all all those little details. It's the difference, and I think the people who have been taking those mid fights have got it down to the science of what exactly works for those fights versus the other teams. That's what it comes down to. It's all about game knowledge, and I feel like the people who are excel at that show, especially in the ball fights in the middle.
There's actually something pretty interesting. You can see that 2377, they look like they're crossing the Atlantic Ocean with how many boats they have going over here. Everyone has a boat for 2377.
They got the boats.
And it's pretty similar in 16 OT, but there are actually some people that don't have the city skin available. They're using a different skin.
And I'm thinking those are the rally leads. I think I would assume they're the ones who are doing the rallies on those structures. So that could be the case, because at the end of the day, for this, you want to use as much attack, when trying to take structures. So that person who had the 12% skin, I believe, that's what it's for. Now, for the ones using the calf skins, I'm assuming those are garrison leads.
All right, the gates have fallen here. We see the double C's sprinting out. Let's look at the rallies. There are 4 obelisk rallies from 2377, only 3 from 16 OT. But pretty standard thus far. We see 16 OT with the Chinese server classic, the sentry in the front of the gates to make sure that they see exactly what's going on, at least in terms of the initial positioning for 2377. A poll has just entered the chat. Who do you think will win 2377 16 OT? Chat, be sure to vote in that poll. Redline.
What do you want to see out the gate here? What do you think 16 OT has to do? 16 OT has to do to close that net point gap. What do they have to do here, Plato? Because, like I said earlier, something has to happen right out the gate because they need as many points as possible. What do you like to see from 16 OT?
I mean, as we're talking about, I think it'll come down to some form of obelisk play, but I think 2377, they're really, really smart with their play. We've seen them, kind of dominate thus far in this group. So I would assume that they know the win condition of their opponents. If I was 2377, I'd be kind of playing that kind of defensive style because they know even if they lose this game, as long as they don't lose by that much, they will still make it through. So the objective for 2377 should be to hold their obelisk because that's the only way they don't make it to the main stage of the Grand Prix here.
based on the data that we saw, so if G77 has 21,000 net points, that means 16OT has to win by at least 21,000 points. Am I thinking about that right?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
With math is mathin', Blotto. With math is mathin'.
When math is mathin'. So, yeah, it's really interesting because usually we just care about the winner losses for these. But because this group stage is, boiled down to the way it is, we're actually looking at the point differential. We're looking at all the things. Like we even saw last week, JST versus 16OT, when we casted that. That match was still interesting until the end because even though JST won it pretty handily, it really, they were fighting for every single point because they know that the point differential, if they were to make it out, really matters here.
Oh, I agree, and I believe from that last match with the JST match, it came down to the wire, right? Like it started kind of breaking away towards the end.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see that here. I mean, for 16OT, you need to have a big lead right at the gate. So we're gonna see how that goes because it is possible. I mean, it's gonna be tough against a team like 2377, but it is possible to kind of close that gap for the net points overall.
We could see that there is a rally going to the obelisk from 2377. It is a Joan of Arc rally. Perhaps just a transport rally. Perhaps just making sure that they're honest and maybe even trying to flip the obelisk here. Just so that they slow down some teleports. Everything looking very standard thus far though. As the first fight is actually a 1v1 in middle. And it's actually
Gotta
Mars.
get a little warm up. Shout out to Mars, little warm up session right there. And Mars is doing some work, it looks like.
That is going to be a precursor to the mid fight that's going to be happening in 8 minutes 30 seconds here. There is another rally. It is an Attila rally this time from 16OT, but I believe this rally is going to be a bit late. The obelisk will already be captured. They did break, 2377 did break the rally. It looks like these marches are going to be trying to snipe out maybe first capture of the Shrine of War. Because the shrines are usually uncontested, so perhaps if you get a march in there, you could contest that first occupation. And both teams now posturing around this bottom side desert altar.
And interesting strat too. If you look at the bottom left obelisk, Plato 77 has marches there, just I guess blocking TP spots.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to block TP spots. I don't think it was too successful. At least it delayed some of the TPs, and all of the marches that were there are not going to be there for this desert altar fight, interestingly enough. And you can see that 2377 are surrounding, enveloping this desert altar with the blue marches around. And I don't even... There is a garrison, but I don't know if they'll be able to get in on time. The garrison ran away, and they were able to take the first tap at least. 2377 able to take that first tap. They also have a garrison in there. Redline, this is looking pretty bad thus far for 16OT in terms of this desert altar. Although they did respond. They did respond in this top side.
They did. Okay.
2377 should be able to retake that.
Yeah, this is not a good start, Plato. I mean, again, it's so early on, but if like right now, again, hopefully I'm not colorblind, but all four altars were first looks like in the control of 77. And it's of course it's slipping back and forth, but you can't let 77 push the tempo and be the one kind of dictating the match. You have to take control here in order for you to have a real chance to get out of this bracket and the side of 16OT.
Yeah, this is looking dominant thus far from 2377, and for 16OT, that's definitely bad news because you would kind of want this to be your situation. You have having four altars, you having control of the map early, because as we were talking about, the point differential is so important if 16OT were to make it out of this group. 2377, they're like, actually, we're pretty healthy. We're just gonna murder ball in front of your desert altar, see if you can even push through it. I think the answer for 16OT is probably not. I'm kind of surprised, Redline. This is the most dominant opening we've seen thus far. What do you think went wrong for 16OT?
I don't know. I'm still trying to process this. I mean, like, It could, because like right now we're looking at the Sky Altar, right? Like they're staggering in. You know, they should be focusing on these marches to kind of get them out, and then switch off the red marches. Like I just feel like they're very staggered, and by doing that, you know, 77 is just truly dictating the field around that structure. And I also think what contributed to was, you know how they had those marches at the bottom obelisk that were kind of like pulling main troops away from the objectives, and just focusing on swarming those to get those teleports in. That could be also like that micromanaging from 77 is making that happen, and it is clearly showing, because right now all 4 altars are still in the position of 77.
77 will get first occupation on all 4 altars, which we have not seen thus far in the Grand Prix. Oh my goodness, this is getting tragic thus far for 16OT. And in turn for JST as well. Because JST is hoping, praying that 2377 loses so they at least have a chance for a tiebreaker. But 2377, with all of their wins thus far, with the dominance they're showing right now, rightfully so, has their faith in their hands. Has their fate in their hands. And the rally is half health leaving the city. This is literally straight out of the city. And 2377 using no mark with all of the altars.
Oh man. This is not looking good.
This is looking...
This should have been flipped the other way around for it to happen.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? I mean, again, we still got 48 minutes left in the match. We got 4 minutes till arc. If you're on the side of 16OT, what are you doing?
If you're the side of 16OT, what do you do? I mean, you have to start off with getting your altars back. You have to start off by murder balling up. But yeah, this is... I don't know what you do at this point, because you're down. Look at the point differential already. It's 5k due to all the first occupations being taken by 2377. You just need to get on the map, in my opinion. There's just no map presence thus far from 16OT. It's been dominant from 2377. 16OT, they are rotating middle first, so perhaps they're gonna go for the 8 arc run here.
I mean, hopefully, but like, it's such a difficult position, because obviously you're lacking on your structures right now, so you're just getting drained on points. Yeah, go for the first arc, but you gotta level set. Like you gotta stabilize the map. And right now I see a lot of staggered pushes, and I just feel like 77 is like up in their face.
77 is indeed up in their face. It's pretty
it's up
crazy.
They're literally just fighting right at the cities.
Yeah, they are literally just... This is equivalent to getting locked in Zone 4, in my opinion. When you just have a fight right outside of your city. This is... I mean, 2377 are so close to 16OT's obelisk that you could cheeseburger if you're 16OT. Which is not something that you usually see.
That, it'll be GG's.
It's not something...
That should be GG's here.
You don't usually see that in Osiris League. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you can see the structures right now. 195 points in altar. Now, they just flipped one of the sky altars. So, at least, you know, taking something in that respect. But you could see 16OT. They're just like, alright, well, we lost the building game. We're just going to go for these... we're just going to go for the arcs and see what happens. Because...
the points per minute is insane.
Yeah,
960 points to 130. That's that's crazy. They pretty much got an arc's worth of points already, just based on first occupations that Holland been holding these structures for.
They got 2 arcs worth of points, to be honest. They're up by about 7k and growing. The first arc is 3k. The second arc is 3.5. So they're already up the first 2 arcs of 16OT were to capture them.
It's commendable though by 77 Plata. Like their aggression, their teamwork is definitely showing right out the opening. Like they're like, once they took these 4 altars, you just see like that coordination of like, okay, because usually when you take an opponent's altar, right, their city is so much closer, the refresh times are faster. But I always felt like 77 had new marches there when it mattered every single time. like they were just constantly engaging them and preventing them from taking the structures back. And it's still showing because the left side of the map, oh, actually, I'm so sorry, the entire side of the map, both altars are just truly heavily contested by 77.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And as you said, 2377, they could have went into this match and played super defensively. They could have went into this match and been like, okay, even if we lose, as long as we don't lose by that much, we should still be in the lead. We should still be good. Or even if they win by like 1 point, they would still make it through. But they are using this as momentum. They are using this as a launching pad to the rest of the Grand Prix here. And we have to keep in mind, the reason why we're catching this match is because 2377, if they win, they will guarantee make it to the main stage of the Grand Prix. They will make it against the Chinese server, against the top teams, the 93Ts, the 489s, the 60MXs turned to the 60GTs of the world.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Potter. Go ahead.
No, they will be fighting against those teams, and I mean, I think thus far in this group stage, they're proving that they're at least in a similar echelon as them right now.
No, I agree. And then look, and as you're saying that, so it looks like 77 didn't even bother going for the first arc.
Mm-hmm.
So they're letting 60OT. So this could be the start, of 16OT getting some points back. Because it looks like those marches that were in the mid are now committing to the opponent's structures on the opposite side to hopefully take away some pressure from their forward structures. Yeah,
I mean, this is a rotation of 16OT coming out from middle. They are going to be pressuring the Desert Altar of 2377. 2377, they do have a murder ball there. And I will say the thing about 2377, they've been playing very together. You could see there's like some players that they don't engage by themselves. They always engage in a very, very tight murder ball. And it's been paying off. You could see that even if you have the same amount of troops on each side, if you concentrate the amount of damage, if you make sure that you attack the marches as they're trickling in, you're going to be able to sad phase your opponents a lot more. And you could see that's been the case right here. 16OT, they trickled in from middle, even though I feel like they did have a numbers advantage. If not, the numbers were at least somewhat even. It has been a dominant showing. I haven't even seen a single 2377 sad face yet. And yeah, it's just been an absolute dominant showing from 2377, showing that, hey, we're not only really good in KBKs, but we're also good in Osiris Leagues as well, showing off that murder ball prowess.
With that being said, no march is popped by 16OT. Dude, if I'm 16OT, I'm turning that arc in and then trying to get another one out going, like right away.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised that they use no mark with them not having any buildings, but I guess it's so that they could take their buildings a bit easier. Again, you do more damage with no mark popped, you do a bit more damage to buildings. Your garrison is a bit more tankier. You also generate more points, and also when you flip a building, it usually takes 2 minutes. Now half the time it takes 1 minute. So it looks like they're going to try to stabilize the buildings at least a little bit. The Shrine of War also under heavy contest right here. I think a lot of these marches rotated from middle. And you can see the Shrine of War getting pretty low, but this has been what we saw from 2377 against JST. They always have these really fast marches. It was the Belisarius Prime. It's a double C's just sprinting in there, making sure that this is always topped off, and that the 16OT marches, even though they're circling around, it won't be an easy capture. All of the structures from 2377 are always highly contested, even though it looks like it should be in their opponent's hands.
Agreed. And dude, I'm looking at that top sky altar. I don't think 16OT has flipped it at all once this match.
Yeah.
It's been freaking like 20 minutes.
This has been... They haven't seen red yet in this sky altar, I feel. This has just been painted blue. The paint is actually chipping because of how long it's been in 2377's control. As you could see that the arc has been captured. So again, that is going to be the win condition for 16OT. Can they get 4 arcs in? Can they get 5 arcs in with a master strategies perhaps? If they go straight to the outposts or something. Because right now they are grasping for straws. They're grasping for win condition as they are down 8k. Even with the arc capture.
So based on the current time, so we have 40 minutes left. They can, I think 4 arcs is doable. But obviously 77 is going to test sooner or later those arcs. But maybe a 5 could happen.
Yeah.
At this rate, it could happen.
But the thing you have to now keep in mind is, if you can't win the murder balls at the structures, how do you feel about a mid fight against 2377?
It's gonna be tough.
That's gonna be tough,
man.
That's gonna be tough. 1602 will have to turn on the skill switch. There is still 40 minutes into this game. Time is on their side, but that is seemingly the only thing. As you can see, they have their inner lane structures. The outer lane structures on each side, though, has just been dominant from 2377. 2377 saying, hey, if you want to contest and take back your structures, you're going to have to give up some form of mid presence here. Again, the good thing about taking these outer lane structures is that it's the farthest away from middle. So even if you take this outer lane structure, the Sky Altar, for example, that we're jokingly saying that the paint is chipping blue because of how long 2377 has had it. Even if they take it and they repaint it red, the marches that are here will now be sad. They will be low. They will either have to walk to the other side to sad face on an enemy structure, or they have to take the walk of shame, which is refreshing, and then walk back to middle. So it's going to be cardio for these guys if they want to make it to the mid fight because of how far away this Sky Altar is from that arc.
Something I'm noticing too, while I look at the Sky Altar, the troop pairing. So on the side of 77, I see a lot of them with Scipio, Philip, and then 16OT are using Scipio, Ragnar. So there's a lot of different strategies when it comes to the open field fighting here.
Yeah, there's a lot of different strategies, and perhaps that could be the difference.
I think so, Claude. I think so.
I feel like it's some of the choices made for commander pairings, maybe city skins, but it's all. I feel like it's also just the gameplay, where it's been 2377 has been more working as a team than 16OT. They've been at the right place at the right time. They have the macro game really, really well. And there you go, 16OT able to take the Sky Altar. It has been painted red.
There we go.
Step one.
Okay, this is the start. 38 minutes. Just keep it stagnant. Keep it consistent. Gotta get your Shrine of War back because you have another arc in 5 minutes.
And they also have to take back their. They have to hold their Desert Altar as well.
Yeah, that's a big sea of blue. Those boats are really coming in here, Plato.
Yeah, they are sailing through this map. You can see that there is a lot of emphasis on cavalry for 2377. 2377, they're going so deep into the cav pool that they're using XY, which is usually seen as a third, fourth cav march. But it's been successful for them. They've been omnipresent on this map, just everywhere, all at once.
And all about the speed.
Perhaps it's all about that speed. It's all about that march speed, right? And you could see that has been the difference. That XY, and XY being there is better than a Zhuge Liang that is not there, right? Like the Zhuge Liang might have still been walking to that structure. That BQ might have still been walking to that structure. Although BQ is pretty fast. They do have BQ Lucha, which is one of the faster infantry marches. But you could see that they've just been everywhere. And even though this is 16OT's side, it's been seemingly 2377's map.
Yeah, it's that Desert Altar, like the amount of pressure that 77 is doing on the Desert Altar and Sky Altar at the top side has been flawless, man. Like they are continuing to just dictate like those structures, like just. Again, like you were talking a little bit about the cav focus from 77, it is all about the speed. And it looks like, they're making all right decisions in terms of, making sure their marches are there where they need to be, having those reinforcements, because I think they're using Belisarius for their reinforcements. Mm-hmm. And I see a ton of them on the field. So like they've got this down to a science. And now they're shifting towards mid as well, trying to stop that win condition for 16OT.
Yeah, this is going to be... I'm curious as to what 16OT is going to do, because they have been just outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched this game thus far. And you could see that the kill differential right now is 10 million points. 10 million total kills in the favor of 2377, which 35 minutes into the game is kind of... you don't usually see this. It's nuts. It's nuts. And they are taking back the Desert Altar. This is on the way to middle. But then this will compromise the health of the marches that are swarming right now. You can see that there is a march that is really, really low. Travis Scott running just a baby hair worth of 28k on this Joan of Arc. And the Joan of Arc probably won't sad fate. The Joan of Arc will probably still... They're hoping that it sad faces, but look at that. It's going to be a 15k Joan of Arc. Now, let's see what they decide to do with the marches. There you go. It's going to be a walk home, a 1-minute walk home, when Arc is going to be spawning in 2 minutes. They won't be able to make it for the mid-fight with those marches, and this is exactly what we've been talking about, right, Redline? It's just been...
They're going to be so late.
Exactly. It's just been the timing of 2377. And you can see that 16OT are pulling the plug on this mid push. They're like, okay, 2377, they got us. They got us on the positioning. They got us on the timing. We're going to try to get them on the buildings. And they've actually been pretty successful. They took the Sky Altar. They took back the Desert Altar. They took the opponent's Desert Altar. Looks like they could take the Sky Altar. So they are going to be going for the structures here, which I honestly, at this situation, when you're so behind on the tempo in the mid rotation, I guess it kind of makes sense. But with being this down, you need to make sure that you somehow steal this arc as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought that they would at least commit like a good large amount of people to contest that arc, but now 77 knows what they're doing. They're focusing heavily on structures, and as we're saying that, they flipped a good amount, and we're looking at points per minute. I mean, right now, 16OT does have that in their favor. If they continue to hold, they could see a wide gap.
And we did see time warp, which is pretty interesting. 16OT used time warp no mark. So they did use no mark for the second time, which is why they're going for the building game. You can see that there is a rotation from 2377 towards their buildings now. The Desert Altar, it should be under control of 2377. They have a rally. They have the middle marches coming through that are completely healthy to facilitate the rally. How long do you think 16OT needs to hold the structures before we could be pretty comfortable with this play being worthwhile?
The entire match. I'll be honest, they need the entire match because, again, they have to remember their win condition. They need to have a widened gap in order for them to advance to the next round.
That's true. That is true. And
it's not about the win anymore. It's about how much you win.
The gap is widening for their opponent, so that's going to be the struggle here. I was also surprised that they completely abandoned middle. I was kind of expecting maybe 20 marches, 30 marches. We usually see 20, 30 marches into a sneaky tactics to at least deny and slow down the arc. Yep. Maybe even try to steal it. You could see that there isn't really that much of an ensemble around here. This is definitely a stealable arc. I wonder if they know that. Let's see. They do because they have full vision. They see the marches around it, so they see that there's maybe 2 people, 3 people around this arc. It is a master strategies. Okay. Wow, I feel like I'm.
I was gonna say that too. Like,
fortune teller. Oh my goodness, Redline. What do you think?
Oh my god, I don't know. What is 77 doing? They're like, oh fuck, we're just gonna walk through it.
They are just gonna walk through it indeed. It looks like they're putting the murder ball around here. The master strategy. Now, the thing about master strategy that's going to be tough is that they also have to make it out.
How many troops, though? Like,
it's 30 troops. They also have extra attack.
I just want to make sure they brought like 30 troops, not one person on 5 marches.
One of the marches are actually just... Oh, they're like, okay, we're just going to go to the Shrine of War instead. Okay, now they're like, all right, never mind.
I'm like, where are you going?
And this is... I feel like this kind of encapsulates the game for me. Is that there's just been a lot more focus in 2377 side. You can see that the marches here from 16OT, they're still just standing still. And that was such an important play, even though in this case, I don't think it'll matter. But lapses in micro over and over and over again is kind of how you get into this situation where you're down by 9k points. And this was a 6k point commit, or 6-point commit for a play that has seemingly failed. And it looks like 2377 have full control. And it looked like, they abandoned the arc, but in reality, they were just baiting a skill here. They had enough marches, and I think they just had the discipline to know that this was the one win condition of 16OT.
Shout out to Kilday. With the arc pickup, yeah, this was tough, man. I was kind of excited for it to see like what 16OT was gonna be able to pull off here. And I don't know, that group of 30 marches just got wrecked.
Yeah.
Right. So like that was like, okay, what does this mean for the future mid fights, Paul? They used 6 points there. Like that's a lot. So I'm really gonna see how does that truly dictate the rest of the matches.
Yeah, it's cooked. If I'm being honest, it is cooked. We're halfway into the match here, and there hasn't been any sign of life from 16OT. There was a little bit when they took the 3 altars, 4 altars, but now we've just been seeing dominance and dominance and dominance from 2377. You could see that their kill lead is growing. They're now 14 million kills above 16OT.
Oh my gosh!
And it gets to that point where it's like, if you're 16OT, you're halfway through the match and you're down by 8k, 9k. They have an arc, so that's going to be another 3.5k. It gets to that point, it's like, what do we do now? What's the win condition? Everything we've been trying, building game, middle game, whatever game, has not been working. If you were 16OT, what do you do, Redline?
Dude, I'd be screaming underscore. That's what I'd be. But honestly, like, it's I think the basic things, right? They have to take back their structures. They have to flip 77 structures and then contest the next 2 arcs. If they get 2 more arcs, like, to even make this, I don't know, Paul. Like, because now you're thinking about, they need to be ahead by 30 something points in order to advance. And I see this as a GG, in my opinion, man. That's what I'm thinking right now. If 77 continues to play at this level for the next 28 minutes, there's no shot this is happening.
Now, we have to keep in mind, if 16OT, even if they don't advance, what they can do is, if they beat 2377, that's a big if, they could deny 2377's chance to make it through if JST win against EE by that 30k, 40k point margin that we were talking about earlier.
Well, just to make sure I'm clear though, because right now GST is 1-0. If they win, they become they're 1-1. If they win, they become 2-1.
Yeah.
So 77 has to lose.
Yep.
But GST has to have at least 22,000 points.
Yeah, they'd have to have 20,000
points.
Which
I think can happen against EE. Because we saw it before with 77 against EE, right?
Yeah.
So it can happen, but they have to lose. 77 has to lose in order for that to be an actual chance for JST.
Yeah, but I don't see them losing with how much control they've had this game. This has been a masterclass of... And I think you could kind of see the problem, or the differential between these two teams with the AFK marches from 16OT versus... You see every single march from 2377. It's always doing something. There's always purpose. There's always meaning. There's always something happening. Like, even the marches that are AFK here, they're just waiting for the rally. They're going to swarm down the rally. Exactly as I say it, they start swarming down the rally. Versus marches
no support.
16OT.
They should be literally like fighting off those marches right now to protect the rally. Like, that should have been the first engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think. I'm not playing in this match, but like, obviously waiting for the rally to happen to get swarmed down. Now it's just okay. Now they're gonna focus on going to like a big circle run and take out these swarmers one by one. And then if you're looking at the top altar as well, you see some of them just sitting there. Like, I don't know if they gave up, but they're like literally next to the structure while their teammates are swarming it, not doing anything at the top altar on the side of
yeah. This is
on 77. Like, they're just AFK.
It's
luckily they flipped it, but
it's one of those things where it's like you're down by 13k, 26 minutes left. You're just saying, you know what? We had a good season. We did really well. We made it to the Grand Prix qualifier. And perhaps it's just, you're just chilling. You're having fun with your boys at this point. Because, yeah, it is getting really, really out of hand. It has been out of hand since day one. Again, the way this match started with 2377 taking first occupation of all 4 altars. we don't see that often. So it's just been a pressure battle of 2077 continuing to pressure 16OT trying to come back from that opening. And you could see that 2077 has just been able to find the cracks in the armor of 16OT.
Yeah, they've done a really good job at it too. 77 has been putting so much pressure on 16OT, and I'm gonna say it, and I think it's safe to say it, that it does appear that 77 is gonna advance to the main stage of this Grand Prix tournament to face off the best of the best that's left over, that's waiting in that bracket, or in that main stage. So, like you said earlier, they're setting the momentum, they're showing their dominance, and showing that they're a true contender to win this Grand Prix for this year.
Yeah. I think they're using this as a practice, in all honesty. I think 2377 are using this as a practice, where it's like, okay, and shout out to them, because they have not let off the gas against 16OT, even though they know that a comeback of 14K with 24 minutes to go is very improbable, but they're still going at it as if this is, a do or die match, as if they are, down in the match right now. They have been going at the matches at the exact same intensity, at the exact same rate. And that's kind of what you want to see from a top Osiris League team. This is what you want to see from the international server, especially because, I'm not going to lie, Redline, last year, the international server kind of got dominated by the Chinese server. So seeing that 2377 is taking this seriously, even though it's kind of a warm-up at this point, is definitely commendable, and we'll have to see how far they can go.
I know. It's tough, man. It's tough. The international team has great players. They have, we've seen time and time again. But the Chinese server, though, that's gonna be interesting to see in the next couple of matches. So I'm really looking forward to see what on the international side, because of course, being you on the international side, we got to make sure that we represent, and then see how they do.
That last year was tough. We saw the grand finals matchup, or we saw the season 2 Grand Prix finals in the first round of the losers bracket, which was 60 GT versus 489.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the international server they're definitely practicing. They're definitely trying to do their best here. And now that a team like 2377, which has dominated their group, they even beat JST. And JST, if I were to predict this group before, the whole group stage started, I probably would have predicted JST to make it out. But 2377 were able to beat them by 8K. And from there, we've seen the glow up of 2377. We've seen them, they have struggled in Osiris League ever since their championship. But now, it looks like they're back to tip-top form.
I completely agree with you on what you just said about how 2377 has definitely shaped their all-around game for Osiris League. So I truly see it. And honestly, speaking about the other teams like 16OT and GST, it's just sucked that they're all in the same bracket, same group, because these three teams are great. It's just seeing them all together. Again, great for us to see from a content perspective and seeing as a spectator. But man, for them, that must have been yeah, we were put in the stage that was do or die for everybody, especially being in the same group with 77.
Yeah, we have watched each of the teams twice, I believe. We've watched JST twice, we watched 16OT twice, and we've watched 2377 twice. And they have definitely been really, really solid teams. They have been really, really strong. 16OT, they've definitely, shown their strength in some of the macro level decisions against JST last week. This week, it's been absolute dominance from 2377 out the gate. But at least against JST, we saw them, at least contest some of the structures, at least contest some of the arcs. As this arc will spawn here. This is going to be the third arc. It's going to be worth 4K points. And if 16OT capture this arc, they'll trim the lead all the way down to 11K. But if 2077 captures this arc, it's just going to be more damage on the wound that's already in 16 OT. And you can see that. They just got it for free here. The arc carrier on the top, it is killed it. And 16 OT using to the death here. So they are contesting 2077 also using to the death. So it was Desert Storm to the death from both teams mirrored here. And this Belisarius Prime Redline is just getting out of here. He's out of here, Redline.
He's zooming. And dude, I do want to give the chat an update about the other match. Right now, JST is in the lead by over 13,000 points. So I feel like they were doing their part in terms of trying to get the top spot, but don't think it's enough, my friend. Don't think it's enough. As Kilday runs away with the arc.
I think in this group especially, you just have to go for the 3-0. Just because of the strength of the schedule, the strength of the matches. And it'll come, the match that really decided who was able to make it out of the group ended up being that 2377 versus JST match. That first match that we casted. And that was actually the closest match that we've watched. It was an AK win for 2377. But that ended up being the difference. And that's what's so interesting about this group stage. Is that every match mattered. Every match mattered, even this one, because 2377 had to win this to guarantee their spot. But just a little slip up, just a little, if JC were able to capture that third arc, for example, or whatnot, it could have ended up different.
I completely agree. It could have been it was. I feel like that was one of the closest matches we've seen that we've casted, and I commend JST's effort, and again, little things here and there that could have dictated a different outcome for the game, and then they were just kind of brought this specific situation that in order for them to advance, it was based on the performance of others and other teams. So it's just the luck of the stage, the little mistakes that happen for all teams here that are not making it through to and then just the dominance of 2377.
Yeah, 2377, kudos to them, showing that they are just a great overall all around kingdom rather. They've been dominating KVKs, they've been doing really well in KVKs, always competitive, always fighting. Even in that 1v3, they were keeping it competitive. I believe they held the one, like they weren't stuck in their main zone. They were able to hold to at least get some coins. And then
they made the best of that situation. From what I heard, they had more coins than some of the winners. So that's actually pretty good for them.
And then on top of that, they won. I believe they won their Supreme Strife, and just showing that hey, they're gonna take all the game modes seriously, even Arc of Osiris. I think a lot of people saw 2377 as a KVK kingdom. You know how kingdoms, they kind of have their specializations. It's like, okay, 1v back in the day, 1034 was the Arc Kingdom. This kingdom is a KVK kingdom. And I think 2377 is showing, hey, you know what? We're great at multiple facets of the game.
Yeah, they have a really good, solid core group of players there. They have great leadership. They have, experienced players. So it's really good to see them still thriving. After a year of leadership retiring, I believe came back at a limited capacity, but a lot of things changed, and they're still performing at the level they are now. It was great.
So from what you've seen out of Osiris League, from what you've seen out of Grand Prix, who do you think is the best team in the international circuit?
I knew you were going to ask this, Plato. So there's a few of them that come to mind, right? Obviously, you have the 60MX team, you have the 93T team, you have 489, 77. So I feel like, again, there's a few others. I think, especially these qualifiers, 748 look kind of good as well. And then Beer is also up there. So there's some really great teams here who has, so many experienced players who've been doing this for years. But if I had to really give you a maybe 3, I'll give you the 4. Nah, you know what? I'm gonna make it more direct. 93Ts. I feel like it's way up there. I feel like that team is gonna probably be one of the best teams that is gonna be favored on the international side. Again, obviously biased to the 16MX team, but I feel like them and Beer as well as 489 and 77 are kind of that same area that were 93T is a team to beat. So I'm really to just see how once these matches are over, who faces who on the main tournament.
I think there's going to be a draw for that. I actually don't know the exact details. We'll have to see. But I'm going to be interested to see who will actually win against Beer in 75 DC. Because right now, that's the other match that Chiskel and Brian are, casting together. And you talk about Beer being one of the best teams. 75 DC, they're only down by 1.3k in the other match. So while here they're up by 13k, the other match they're up by 1.3. So just move the decimal one bit, and then that's a score.
Oh my god, you're right. I'm looking at the Beer. You said Beer and 75 DC, right?
Yeah, 75 DC.
Dude, it's only a 500 point difference.
It's even closer now.
It's closer now. It's 500 points. Right? That's a little intense there.
Yeah, they're both 2-0. So whoever wins that game makes it through. That's like high stakes. As we continue casting this match, though, the arc is going to be held by 23-77. They're like, all right, we're done with these mid fights. We just want to play structures. We just want to chill. I mean, shout out to 16OT. They're still in the match. They still got the open field marches out there. They didn't leave us with just casting nothing. But it's just been absolute dominance from 23-77.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of learnings for the 16OT side. I mean, they had a great migration. And again, if those players from 1960 are planning to play on the OL team, that could be a huge boost to their team with experience, the level of accounts, and then hopefully over time kind of mold together to form a more improved team for the next Grand Prix.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about Osiris League Grand Prix, even Supreme Strife, is that for the longest time, those game modes kind of took the backseat to KVK. I'm curious now with Supreme Strife and Osiris League and, there being more nuances. I'm sure Kingdoms will still, focus on KVK. But KVK, you lose a lot of troops. And for those game modes, Supreme Strife especially, but even Arc of Osiris League, you need to make sure you're a certain power. It'd be curious to see, how Kingdoms react in terms of, keeping their power high during an Osiris League Supreme Stripe season, such as we're having now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, they released what the rewards are for Supreme Stripe. They even released a bundle. I think it's because of KVK, you need to spend over $1,000 on tech in a sense to get max tech.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here in Strife, I think you just need to spend $50. So yeah. It's a huge change. Again, I don't know all the specific details, but I do see that the game will shift more towards those type of modes. Because again, how many KVKs have you been in? Part of 12?
Yeah.
Right. So after a while, it kind of becomes stagnant. And then let's say you win all those KVKs. There's only so many autarchs that you can use. So it's kind of like, hey, what's next for the game?
Yeah, I think there's, and again, I guess in last season's Osiris League, you could lock your power, if I remember correctly. So if you were a certain amount of power, you could lock that power so that you'd have those troops for the rest of the season, which is good. I would assume really cool. That would be similar for Supreme Strife.
I mean, they also give you a large amount of troops, right? To I guess to have and before you can't get true deads.
Actually, I think Supreme Strife wouldn't have that because you are taking real deads in Supreme Strife. So I'd assume it'd be to your current account's power. It'll be really interesting to see how Supreme Strife works. Again, I believe that season is coming up within the next couple of weeks here.
I think next week.
Next week, yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, agreed.
Next week, okay. Man,
I believe I could be wrong.
No, I believe you're correct as well. I think it does start next week. Arc was captured, by the way, so there will be a third arc or a fourth arc, but there will only be 2 minutes to cash it in. I believe that's enough if you have a T1 double C and you're just sprinting it to outpost uncontested. But 2377, man, they've been so dominant and made the game boring. Like it's crazy how dominant they've been. But I'm curious to see against the best of the best. Again, this is actually the best of the best. The people that have made it to this Grand Prix qualifier stage, there's 4 teams that made it through Power, and ironically 2377 is one of them. So usually when you have those teams that make it through Power, you're like, oh, they're not going to be as coordinated, for example, or oh, they're not going to be. But no, this team's definitely very coordinated. They're definitely up in the upper echelon of teams as well. The other teams, I believe, are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place of the past Osiris leagues. So Realm of Horus, Realm of Anubis, Realm of Basset, Realm of Sobek. I believe it's
and
those...
actual champions too as well, right? And actual champions.
The actual champions, they have the bye. So the actual champions, they already made it to the main stage of the Grand Prix.
Yep.
So that's 4 slots to the Grand Prix already determined. And now we're determining the last 4 slots. And usually, conventional knowledge, you would say, you know, the teams that did well in Osiris League would be the teams that make it through. But 2377, they lost in the quarterfinals. They were 8th in their realm. But they have made a complete 180. They're showing that, hey, you know what? It was just a bad time. They lost against OWR, and OWR are the people that versed you guys, the 60MX team. So they're on the opposite side of the bracket there.
Yeah. So they definitely made some changes here to kind of showcase that they're still competing with the best, and it's clearly showing here. And again, to truly test out their ability as a team, they had a really competitive bracket for them to do that. So for them, it was a great showing against a great competition like GST, like 16OT, to make it to the next round.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they do against... They've done it against the 2nd, 3rd, 4th best teams. But now they're going to be going against the champions of both the international server as well as the Chinese servers. And then on top of that, the people that made it to the top of the bracket of the group stages of the international and the Chinese servers. So, man, this Grand Prix, it's tough to make it to that main stage. Every team had to fight tooth and nail. You have to think about it. They had to make it through Osiris League, and to make it through Osiris League, you had to, beat the top 152, the qualifier stage there. And then you had to make the playoff group stage, which is top 32. And then you had to make it through the round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And
Dude,
then on top...
That sounds brutal. That just sounds brutal.
And if you didn't win the championship, you need to be the top of your group in this Grand Prix qualifier. So there's just been so many steps that each of these teams had to take to make it this far. So even though 16OT, they are going to lose, they are not going to make it, so is JST, so is EE in this group A. I think round of applause to them for even making it this far, because it's been so much effort to make it this far. They've done so well. They've been in top of their, near the top of their leagues. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to the final 16, the final 8 for both for the international server, final 16 for international Chinese server, the margins get really, really slim.
A lot of people also don't really know, if you don't play on these type of teams, like from the beginning of the OL season, there's the amount of practices you have every week, the amount of because now again the game allows you to have more practice matches, by jamming it. There's just so many different practice matches, so much testing, so much so many factors that go into having a highly competitive OL team. And I'm talking about, this is a months long process of every weekend. Again, depends where you live, especially if you're in the States, it sucks. Baseball, especially on the West Coast, it sucks. But imagine every Saturday you have practice, right? And then every Sunday you have a match. So your whole weekend's gone, or at least it's a rough start. Then to do this every weekend until the Grand Prix is over. Wait, is that 3 months plot? It has to be. That's a long time.
It is a very long time, and
it's a long time. So
the thing is, you have to keep 30 players dedicated each team as well. So it's not it's 5 people. No, it's 30 people. You have to manage their schedules. Oh my goodness.
That's managing that, and then obviously there's expansions that you have to maintain to make sure you have that for the matches. There's the random time slots, the practices, the person making the strategies for every match, and watching the VOD. Dude, literally, it's like the NBA finals here. Everyone's preparing for this one moment of trying to be the best of the best for this upcoming season. And again, shout out to all those players and the planners and everyone who puts that time into these to get this far. Those efforts are truly respectable. And if you don't make it, it is what it is, and just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and get better next year.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully 16OT, as you're talking about, could build off this. JST, they could continue to be, strong. EE, they could continue to be, build off this as well. Because, yeah, this has been very impressive to even make it this far. And 2377, I think we have to look to the future, to the horizon, to the Grand Prix. 2377, I think they could be proud of their performance now and say, you know what, Osiris League, that doesn't matter anymore. That's in the past. We were able to make it into Grand Prix despite being losing in the quarterfinals in Osiris League. Now their sights are going to be on that Osiris League championship. Their sights are going to be, making it and being one of the international server hopes. I feel like the international server teams are kind of have to band together here, due to the poor performance last year. It's going to be really interesting to see how they perform.
Can you remind me, Paulo, how bad was it last year against the Chinese server?
I think 1093 is the only team that made it, that won against a Chinese server team.
I remember that.
I think,
but
maybe 49 won against one. Losers, the lower bracket for last season was all international server. Upper bracket was all Chinese server.
It's time for a comeback, boys. It's time for a comeback.
I think I'm going to be rooting for all of the international server teams, no matter where they're from, no matter who it is. Of course, the 60GT team being from 960 will be, my favorites, but 2377, 1093, 2489, the other teams making it out of this group stage as well. This qualifier. Oh my goodness, they're still using skills. There's 4 marches here. There's 4 people here that are 1 health, and they're using Desert Storm. They're we just gotta make sure. We just gotta make sure.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance.
They're saying
this is gonna be this arc. This arc is kind of the final Jeopardy. We played Jeopardy on the channel last Friday.
I saw that. Shout out to you, Paul. That was an amazing setup. The production was amazing.
I appreciate that.
Really, really great effort. And that was your first episode, right?
Yeah. We're gonna try to run it back next week. But yeah, I'm bringing that up because Cortex was last place the whole match, and then Final Jeopardy he got it right, and then he ended up winning.
Wow,
it would have impressive. It would have to be, this arc would have to be worth would have to double the points of 16OT. I guess even then they still wouldn't win, huh?
No, not even close.
They would be down 4K even if they doubled their points. So even though Final Jeopardy couldn't really save them in this situation, but I mean,
they need to win by at least 25,000 or 22,000. so it didn't matter.
Yeah, this is it's been absolute dominance. It's been absolute class from 2377. And we'll have to see how they do, man. We'll have to see how they do. And if it sounds like we're repeating ourselves, is because we've had nothing to talk about for the past 40 minutes.
No, I think we did fine, and I think with the last minute counting down, shout out to 16OT, for their amazing season, and they have to look forward to the next next Grand Prix next year. So hopefully we see them again, in future tournaments.
Yeah. Again, after the match, we are going to be looking at all of the results in terms of the groups, so that we could see exactly, who makes it out. I think the other match is still relatively close. Oh, no, Beer is winning by 9K now. So,
wait, what?
I think they brought home prisoners or captured an arc over there. I've been having them on my second monitor just to see. But GG's.
GG's
2377 have won, and they have advanced to the main stage of the Grand Prix. 16OT, it was a valiant effort. Kudos to them for making it this far, but their run, as well as JST and EE's run, ends here. 2377 are going to be looking to continue their run, I believe, in 2 weeks. There'll be a 2-week break. I think there'll be a draw probably for the matchups. You could see the score here. 57.6K from 2377 to 22.4K of 16OT. It was absolute domination as we switch over to the booth here.
Someone even healed Plato on 16OT.
Yeah, some people even healed just to make sure they had enough troops. As we're in the booth here, Redline, what were your thoughts of that match?
Man, I was hoping that we'll see, a much closer matchup, especially with all those win conditions needed by every team on this specific group. But 2377 dominated. They from the gate, especially with all those altars being taken and flipped from the 16OT side, they just dominated, man. And very impressive on the side of 2377. 16OT had a lot to catch up on, and unfortunately, with how 2377 was doing, they had no chance.
All right, let us go back to the brackets here. You could see Group A, 2377 are 3-0, so they have automatically made it, as they have won against each of the other teams in the group. JST actually won their match against EE, so they would have been 2-1. So I actually think if 16OT were to win against 2377, JST would have made it through. With the point differential.
Oh my god. They would have. Wait, would they?
They would have, yes, because 2377's point differential would have been negative, right? If 16OT won.
I see. Yeah, I see. Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal.
Yeah, so that is that's what you get for winning all of your matches. 2377 just able to automatically make it to that main stage. For Group B, DQ39 will make it through. 3535 did not show up for the match. So DQ39 will make it out for Group B. Group C, 748W, they have already made it out because 563A forfeited their spot, so this was a free win for them. So 748W will make it through. And then the match of the day was actually Beer versus 75DC, and Beer was able to take it by about 9K. So the people making it out of this into the main stage will be 2377, DQ39, 748W, and Beer, and they will be joining the champions of last season's Osiris League. And that will make the 8 teams of the international server. Redline, what do you think of the international server matchup and lineup as we wind things down here?
Dude, it's gonna be, the best on the international side is gonna be present, and I'm really looking forward to see what they can bring, especially against the Chinese servers. So I'm rooting for them, all the teams that are on the side of international. Of course, you have your favorites. And as a former 60 player, as and been with them for a long time, I'm hoping that they take the W, because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, 60 has taken a Grand Prix
No,
championship, or
they have
it's
not.
none, right?
Yeah.
Finals, maybe they've made it that far, but
They've made
hopefully
it to
this will be the
finals.
first time. But there's just so many different teams on the international side that are well deserving of that trophy, and I hope at least someone from the international side will get it. But I'm looking forward to those matches coming up, Plato.
If you guys enjoyed the cast, if you enjoyed the Grand Prix content, be sure to subscribe to this channel, the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. And if you enjoyed our commentary, our channels are also in the description. Plato Gaming, Redline, be sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace.